Hey, Malcolm, you know that Audible's got a lot more than audiobooks?
Of course, podcasts,
Originals,
bestsellers,
future bestsellers,
sleep stories.
sleep story. What are you talking about, sleep story? Malcolm. Oh, wow. Malcolm. Malcolm. Hey, no, Roxy. Hey, Roxy, get out of Malcolm's house.
The most inspiring minds, the most compelling stories, all in one place. Audible.
Hi, everyone. I'm Yvonne Villarreal. I cover television for the Los Angeles Times, and I'm your host for today's panel. Thank you all for tuning in to the 26th Annual Festival of Books and our virtual event. Guy Raz and Mindy Thomas, co-authors of Wow in the World, in conversation with award-winning actress Zooey Deschanel. Guy and Mindy are the co-creators and co-hosts of the award-winning Wow in the World and To What's in a Wow podcast. Zooey, our moderator for today's panel, is an award-winning actress, musician, and singer-songwriter. Before we get started, please remember to support your local independent bookstores during the festival. Signed book plates for Wow in the World, The How and Wow of the Human Body, are available through Once Upon a Time Bookstore while supplies last. Guy, Mindy, and Zooey, welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
Good.
Great.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. Can I share the one tidbit that had my mind blown, and it wasn't the Booger Recipe, which is mind-blowing too, but particularly considering the amount of TV I've consumed in this pandemic, the one piece of information that had me like, oh my God, was our brain can store as much information as 1 million hours of TV shows.
Yeah.
That's
So are you using
crazy
that much?
to me.
Amazing.
I don't know.
We have a DVR in our brains, in our heads.
It's like, I don't know where it all goes. But Zooey, why don't you tell me how you came to know Guy and Mindy?
Well, gosh. Guy Raz interviewed me many years ago. So I was familiar with Guy Raz, but my kids are huge fans of Wow in the World, the podcast. We're big wowzers. And
singer-songwriter. Before we get started, please remember to support your local independent bookstores during the festival. Signed book plates for Wow in the World, The How and Wow of the Human Body, are available through Once Upon a Time Bookstore while supplies last. Guy, Mindy, and Zooey, welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
Good.
Great.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. Can I share the one tidbit that had my mind blown, and it wasn't the Booger Recipe, which is mind-blowing too, but particularly considering the amount of TV I've consumed in this pandemic, the one piece of information that had me like, oh my God, was our brain can store as much information as 1 million hours of TV shows.
Yeah.
That's
so are you using that much?
To me.
Amazing.
I don't know.
We have a DVR in our brains, in our heads.
It's like, I don't know where it all goes. But Zooey, why don't you tell me how you came to know Guy and Mindy?
Well, gosh. Guy Raz interviewed me many years ago. So I was familiar with Guy Raz, but my kids are huge fans of Wow in the World, the podcast. We're big wowzers. And listen, in fact, my daughter listens to it every night before bed.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
We also listen to it in the car. So, I mean, I've probably heard every episode
Wow.
multiple times.
It probably saves you a lot of time when they ask like questions.
It's actually
like,
nice. I like it. And some, not every kid's entertainment thing is something I enjoy. So I'm happy to play it because I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I learn a lot.
Thanks.
Well, I'm
sure she has some
excited
strange dreams at night.
Well, I'm excited to see the conversation. I'm going to turn things over to you now, Zooey.
Thank you. I'm so excited to talk to you guys.
Likewise.
We are too. Yeah, we are too.
So, well, first of all, I have more than one copy of this book. And in fact, I noticed today that this is starting to get dirty because we already have read it a lot and we're really enjoying it, along with your other book. Well, your other multiple books, right? You wrote
Yeah, we have
right?
We have our 2 What's in a Wow Think and Tinker playbook that we wrote within a week of launching that show during the pandemic when everything shut down. We thought we got to come up with something that will be there for kids every day. And so we came up with our 2 What's in a Wow game show. And then right away, we made a book to go along with it.
Yep.
Incredible. You guys are so fast. Your brains are really working at capacity.
They're at capacity, it feels like.
Yeah. Well, maybe not capacity, but you know, they're really fun, high functioning brains. That's pretty cool.
That hamster is like in here.
How did you get the idea to write this book? Because it's already a New York Times bestseller, right?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, Mindy, you want to start?
Sure. I mean, I think that, in Wow in the World, we're traveling out into space, under the sea. We're going back in time. And when we decided to write our first Wow in the World book, we wanted to write a book that every kid could relate to, meeting kids exactly where they are, and that is inside their human bodies. And we realized, especially during this last year of the pandemic, how little kids actually know about their bodies. That, we had all of this talk about wearing a mask and doing all these things to keep ourselves healthy. But at the end of the day, we realized that they didn't understand why. They didn't understand how their body worked or the natural, things that we have built in to fight off of these illnesses. So it became especially relevant, I think, to make a book about it.
And Zooey, we wanted to. Our bodies, right? It's the most advanced machine in the known universe, and we all have one. Like Elon Musk can't invent a human body. Like no AI researcher can invent what we have, what we carry around with us. And it's just full of incredible parts and connections and wiring. I mean, we have 1,000 times more neural connections in our brain than all the stars in our galaxy, right? So it's mind-blowing. And we were, like, as kids, and you probably remember this as a kid, like, we loved playing Operation. I loved the way things work books, right? And these are things we used to devour as kids. As I would pour through, like, I remember we had an illustrated encyclopedia with like transparent pages of the human body and the veins and the muscles and the skeletal system. And we wanted to write a book and create a book that we would have wanted to read when we were kids.
Do you remember Mr. Slim Goodbody? He was that guy. He wore a skin suit, and it was covered in organs and bones. And then the whole set was to take you inside of different parts of the human body. I just remember that as a kid, and that I have a picture of him in my house. Yep. I love that guy. Look him up later, Mr. Slim Goodbody.
We actually had like part of our set dressing on New Girl was this like teaching the human body like vest thing.
Yeah.
And it was like always hanging in my fake room, and it was one of 3 things that I was like, I need to take that home. At the end, because it's so cool.
It had like
wearing it. It had like
right?
Part, it had everything. It had like you could Velcro them on, and it's like this vest you could put on, and it's so weird and cool. And we loved it. And then I took it home, and now my kids play with it.
I love it. Your next award show.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my God, it's the least flattering color.
Of course.
It's like beige color. But it's very fun. Very fun.
Yeah. So it's fun to take the guts from the outside or turn yourself inside out and see what's happening and how it works and what it looks like.
Right.
Yes. So one of the things I love about Wow in the World and that I love about this book is that you kind of tap into kids' natural curiosity and then connect that to science. Mm-hmm. And that's such an amazing thing. And then, of course, create these wonderful stories that can really, make it digestible for kids. And
Yeah.
it's made my daughter doesn't know who any celebrities are. She doesn't really know what an actor is, but her dream is to meet a scientist.
I love that.
Because of your show, she's like obsessed with science. And, because kids are always asking why.
Right.
And so I love that you did that. Like, what was the genesis of this show? Was it that, or, tell me about how you kind of came up with Wow in the World.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of that, and I think for both me and Mindy, it was sort of, we came to this in sort of similar ways, and you probably can relate to this, Zooey, because I remember, like, before I had kids, you forget to ask questions, like you just stop thinking about things like the stars, the universe. You just kind of go through your life. And I remember when my son was 3 years old, my oldest son, and he asked me about the stars. We were looking up at the stars, and he was like, can we go there? How far away is it? And I couldn't answer those questions. I didn't know how far away the closest star was. So I started to look around for answers, only to discover that we will never probably get to a star, because it's closest one's about 3 or 4 light years away. But I remember thinking and realizing when he asked those questions, that we were actually looking at the past. Like, the amount of time it takes for light to reach us from the closest stars, is thousands of years. And we're looking at the past in real time, in some cases, a few years or thousands of years. And actually that experience helped me to start a science show on NPR called the TED Radio Hour. And as I watched my kids kind of ask me all these questions and questions that I couldn't answer, around that time I met Mindy, and we started listening to Mindy's show on Sirius XM, this incredible daily show. And I was blown away listening to this person who was so funny and interesting and curious and could relate to kids. So I basically reached out to Mindy. Actually, I tweeted out to people. I said, you have to listen to this amazing kids show. This is like 10 years ago. And lo and behold, Mindy saw that tweet, and I will let you pick up the story from here, Mindy.
Yeah, and then I got all excited because I was such a huge fan of the TED Radio Hour. So I tweeted back, and then we got in contact with each other. And Guy said, have you ever wanted to do a news show or a news segment on your show? And I said, yeah. Are you signing yourself up? He said, yes. So for about 2 years, we did a little segment called the Breakfast Blast Newscast. And it was set up to be a news show, but we realized that all of the stories of hope and progress and just really cool things were happening in the world of science. So that kind of started morphing into this science show. And then, in editing it, we would add some humor and make it funny and start adding some sound effects. So that was sort of like the little seed of Wow in the World. And then we decided, let's go big on this. Let's take this idea and start this podcast. And we did it. And I think even the podcast is different than it was what it is now has happened really organically, adding these other characters in and even the narrative around it. And I know when I was a kid, I wasn't super into science because it was only presented to me in a really academic way. So I think in all that we do, we want to frame it in storytelling. And so whether it's this book or at the shows that we do, we try to create this interesting narrative around these amazing science stories and highlight these scientists that might not look like what people think of when they think of scientists. And yeah.
And the other thing, Joey. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I mean, the basic idea behind the show is, it sounds could sound boring, but basically we take scientific journal articles from peer-reviewed academic journals, and we translate them first for ourselves so that we understand it, and then for kids and their parents. And we very deliberately write it for kids and parents. And through that process, the show really began more of as an explanatory show where we were silly, me and Mindy were silly, but now it's very story driven, and the science is embedded in every story. And we do that because it's kind of taken us. It's the show has kind of led us into a world that we didn't even anticipate 4 years ago. And now here we are. It's this immersive like cartoon, except it's not visual. It's visual in your head, but it's not on a screen. It's in your ears.
Audio
I
animation.
was gonna say, like, when I was gonna say the same thing you said, Mindy, is like when I was a kid, science had like this kind of feeling of this is not as exciting. You know, I had a really good science teacher actually in elementary school, and I found science really fun, but it was always kind of like, you know, in the world, it felt like science was dry and not interesting. And really, you know, what you guys have done is connect that like sense of discovery to the kids' sense of discovery. And it's really, really cool. So you're introducing a whole generation of kids to science in a way that probably like has never been done before. So that's really exciting.
Thanks. I hope so. We have fun with it.
Did you guys ever
We're
watch
having fun.
Square One TV? Did you ever
What was
see
that?
Square One? There was this show called Square One on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I was a kid, and it was so, and it kind of like was the precursor somehow to Wow in the World. I think
Yeah.
it was, but it
I'm
was,
sure
it
there's
was
some
that.
of that in us. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved that show, but it was the only one of its kind that I knew of. Like it was one of the only shows my parents would let us watch after school, and it was just about math. And they had like spoofs of like Dragnet and stuff on there.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
So let's see. I had a couple of questions I'm just gonna throw in here from my kids. Is that cool if I ask a few?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Mindy, do you even live in a gingerbread house?
To that, I would say, do I look like I live in a gingerbread house? Do I look like the type of person who would live in a gingerbread house?
Yeah.
Then there's your answer. That's
Okay.
what I would say. Yeah.
Cool. I'm glad to know. Okay. Is Reggie a kid or a grown-up?
That's a good question. Do we even know how old Reggie is?
I mean, Reggie has the wisdom and the maturity of somebody much older than he might actually be. But we don't really know. He's very vigorous and fit, physically fit.
Yeah.
So I'm
he has a lot of
guessing
advanced degrees.
he's a Taekwondo champion. It's hard to know his exact age, but it's somewhere between
I think he's
12
sort of
and
90,
45.
No, 45. Yeah, he's sort of the moral compass of the show. I feel like he's the only one that's consistently well behaved.
Yes.
We have to wrangle these other characters, but Reggie is just, and I feel like he trolls us a little bit. Like if you listen, sometimes he kind of like, he can say so much with so little, the way he punctuates sometimes the things that are happening.
Yeah. Is Reggie real?
To that,
What do you think? I mean, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, is he real to you?
You know, Elsie and Charlie wanted to know.
I mean, how? I mean,
Go to New York, you can see all his relatives.
I mean, doesn't Elsie have a giant pigeon in her garage?
You know, we don't yet, but we're working.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
get a motor pickle,
some people do, some people don't.
What was you can take turns. What were your favorite subjects when you guys were kids?
Oh, can we go first? Okay. I would say when I was a kid, it wasn't so much a favorite subject, but it was a favorite project. So it didn't matter what the subject was, but if there was some reason that we had to do a presentation, that was my favorite subject of that day, whether it was math, science, English, anything. I loved doing presentations. So I remember doing, when I was in, I think 7th grade, we were doing a weather unit in science. And I so badly wanted to be on the morning announcements, like ever since 5th grade. And I did, I took it, way too far. I had a chopstick and printed out a map and I made a video. We didn't have to do that, but I made a video, made my dad film me doing this weather forecast, because the deal was whoever had the best in the class got to go do the weather on the morning announcements one day. So I did the best one and I started doing the morning announcements and I never left.
Oh my God.
That's my favorite
Yeah.
subject.
Yeah, I similarly liked projects, but and I remember as a kid, one of my favorite projects was we would make dioramas. And I loved
Love
making. We made a diorama. I made a diorama of. I had to make the Globe Theater, Shakespeare's Globe Theater, out of toothpicks and plaster of Paris, and then put that stacked up on the other dioramas in the classroom for open house when the parents would come visit. The other thing I really love doing, which might sound a little bit surprising given what I ended up doing as a grown up, was I was always on the student newspaper. Like even in elementary school, we had a student newsletter. And then in junior high and then in high school, I was on the student newspaper, and I just loved writing for the newspaper and asking people questions about what they were doing or what was going on. I loved to be able to hear those stories and then write about them. It was always so interesting to me. And then that's what I ended up doing as a grown up.
That's
I didn't
awesome.
even know that.
That's so cute.
Yeah, I remember the other day, Mindy, I posted my press pass from high school on Instagram.
Oh yeah. Well, baby Guy Raz. Can we turn this on you, Zoe? What was your favorite?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like what you were like as a kid? Does it totally make sense that you're an actress now?
Yeah. My favorite subjects were drama and music. But I also, I loved a lot of things. Like I really loved, when I was older, I loved I took great books and film. I loved those. I always enjoyed science and math. I mean, I can't think of any subjects. I liked school. I was a good student. So I can't think of any subjects like I hated, But it's funny you were talking about, I was never on newspaper, but I remember I had this assignment to make my own newspaper, I think in 6th grade. And I found it. And it was so funny. I had to write like all the different newspaper columns. And so I wrote a review of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. And I wrote an article about why communism didn't work in the USSR. That was my favorite.
In the same paper?
Nice.
You covered all the beats.
That's a wide range.
Yeah. Well, I actually lived in a communist country randomly. And so I was very familiar. So I felt kind of connected to it. Connected to why it didn't work.
Right.
And wanted to write about it, I guess. But it was funny for me to find it because I was like, I wrote this? This is so funny.
If there's ever a sequel, like a Bill and Ted Go to a Communist Country movie, you should.
Yes.
I should be involved.
Direct it.
You should definitely be part of that.
And knowing your range, you could be Bill and Ted.
I would like to be Bill and Ted. Yeah. I'm a big fan. I love Bill and Ted. Yeah. And what were your favorite movies? What was your favorite entertainment growing up? I actually loved radio shows growing up. We used to listen to old radio shows.
Huh.
I don't know. Did you guys ever listen to old radio shows growing up or?
Yeah, we do now. It's every Sunday night on our public radio station. There's old time radio shows. We have them on now, but I think I was always interested in playing radio when I was a kid. There was the Q Morning Zoo show. They had a camera in the studio during the public access. So I remember in 3rd grade getting up early, getting myself ready for school so I could go downstairs and just watch the Q Morning Zoo on TV before going to school. And then
I listened to Dr. Demento on Mighty 690 in Southern California, but I don't think that station is around anymore. But I remember listening to that, and I'm sort of the generation, they call us Gen Xers, but I actually think I'm of the generation that is best defined as between Kids Incorporated and Saved by the Bell.
I'm that generation too.
Yeah.
Between the two, yeah.
Both of those. Oh, yeah. I just love them
so good.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you watch Mickey Mouse Club too? Because I remember Kids Incorporated and Mickey Mouse Club watching those both.
I loved the Smurfs. I watched the Smurfs a lot, and
his Smurf knowledge
is extensive. Very
You'd
extensive.
be surprised how often it comes up.
Yeah.
So I have this friend, Rhea. She's my good friend. She's still my good friend, but we became friends in middle school. But when she was a kid, she wrote a letter asking why there weren't more girl Smurfs, and two Hanna-Barbera, and they wrote back saying like perhaps during a blue moon there would be a new Smurf born, and that Sassy Smurf was shortly after introduced. So and she had a signed animation cell of Taylor Smurf, I remember.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool, right?
Very
It was
cool.
really weird. For the longest time, there's only one girl Smurf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smurfette,
Weird.
right?
She was
Super weird.
she had a lot to do over there.
Yeah. But Smurf's great. Yeah. I know you guys have a quiz for me. Do you want to do that now, or should we?
I think so. Mindy, do you want to lead? You want to take the lead?
Sure. Okay.
I'm kind of nervous about it, by the way.
You don't be nervous because we can feed you clues. Okay, so this is a fill in the blank question, Zooey. A few stems of blank eaten shall okay, so Benjamin Franklin in 1791 said, "A few stems of blank eaten shall give our urine a disagreeable odor."
Asparagus.
You got it. So I have to ask you, Zooey, this is a personal question. As we learn in the how and wow of the human body, not everyone's pee smells like asparagus. Or smells has a funny smell, but not everyone can smell the asparagus in their own pee. Is this something that you've noticed?
I can smell it.
Because I can't smell it.
Oh, really?
You can smell it, Guy?
I can.
I haven't.
Okay.
I actually haven't experimented with it in recent memory. But next time I have asparagus, I'll send you a text message and let you know.
Thanks. All right, you take the next one, Guy.
Okay.
He's turning red.
Here is the next one, Zooey. What is the most commonly broken bone in the human body? Out of all of our bones, what is the most commonly broken bone? Which one?
The clavicle?
The clavicle. Yes.
You got it. Do you want to know something? Zooey, I broke my humerus the week that our book came out. My first time in my life breaking a bone. I don't have my sling on right now. It's just kind of hanging here.
How did you break it?
I tripped over a puppy gate. Nothing exciting.
Oh my God.
It's all right. It's all right.
Thanks.
I'm just looking for some attention. Okay.
You cried?
You ready? Did I cry? Oh yeah, I cried.
I would have cried so hard.
It was yeah, I was just mad at this gate. I couldn't blame it on anyone, but yeah, it's healing. But and bones have I
got a text from Mindy's husband at 11 at night saying, "Hey, I'm at the emergency room with Mindy. She's okay." This was like the day before our book was coming out. I was like, "What?"
Oh my gosh.
Okay, ready for the next one?
Yeah.
So, which of the following body parts do you probably not need? Is it A, the appendix, B, the tailbone, C, your wisdom teeth, or D, your tonsils, or E, all of the above?
E, all of the above.
You're right.
Yes.
And two of these are just sort of left over from our ancestors. We really don't need them. That would be the tailbone and your wisdom teeth.
Yep.
They don't really do anything for us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't eat them. All right.
Another one, guys?
Here we go. Zooey, what is? This is a two-parter, so let's do part one. What is the smallest organ in the human body? This is a hard one. So the smallest organ.
Oh, she knows it.
Body.
A student.
Pineal gland.
What? Yes.
Melatonin.
Yes.
She did.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Okay.
Impressive.
Well, then here's part two. What is the largest organ in the human body?
Let me tell you, it's the skin, the integumentary system, which I did a report on in 7th grade science.
Look at you.
Incredible.
Got it. All right. Here's one. We're gonna run through a little flow chart from our book here. This is Should I Pick It? So I want you to think of something that you've recently thought about picking on your human body, and we're gonna run through this. You don't have to tell us what it is yet. Okay. Is it on your body?
Recently thought of picking. Like something that I know I should pick or not.
It doesn't matter. We're gonna find out whether or not you should pick it.
Okay. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay, it's on your body. Okay. Will it bleed if you pick it?
Yeah.
Okay. Lots of blood?
No.
Nope. Oh, nope. Don't pick it. Sorry.
Don't pick it.
Even
Don't
a little
pick
bit
it.
of blood.
My cuticles.
Don't
Your
pick it.
cuticle, yeah. Don't pick it. Don't pick
Don't
it.
pick
I know,
Zoe.
but it's really hard not to.
I
Because like I
know.
can't get
Don't pick it.
manicures because we're in a pandemic.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
put a
you're
Band-Aid
just
over
gonna
it.
Not pick it.
Put a Band-Aid over it. Okay.
You know
Somebody
what I
actually
found?
commented on it on Instagram. Like I did something where they saw my hands and they're like, "Don't pick your cuticles." And I was like, I didn't think it was that noticeable.
I
You
actually
gotta pick
think that,
better followers.
Yeah.
I actually think that face masks have really prevented a lot of kids from picking their nose over the last year, which is really great.
Yeah.
Oh, someone needs to do a study on that.
Also, my kids have gotten really good at washing their hands. They sing happy birthday. My daughter sings happy birthday to herself or to the Sinky, to dear Sinky,
Right.
or her house, Elsie. But they wash their hands pretty well, and they're very aware of their, masks. So it's great.
Good for them.
And do you know, by the way, I have a friend who is an emergency room doctor, and he said, and I think you know this, there was like almost no flu last year because nobody was touching their face and everybody's washing their hands and wearing masks.
I got my flu shot anyway, but I'm just like that. But I do have to say we actually my son caught a little cold. It's not COVID, but he caught a little cold for the first time in like 15 months. And it was
Is he still totally virtual?
Yeah, they're still totally virtual. Like they haven't been anywhere. And it's not like a major cold or anything. It's just a slight runny. It might be allergies, but
yes,
just a little runny nose kind of deal.
It's allergies. It's March or April in LA, right? It's allergies.
Yeah.
So you say it's April in LA. It's April everywhere.
Or March. March. It's April and March everywhere. Everywhere, including in LA.
It is April and March in LA, although I will say that maybe LA has more pollen activity than other.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also for some reason very windy. It's been very windy. Do you guys Mindy, you're in like one of the Carolinas or something, or?
No, well, right now I'm in Florida, but I live in Northern Virginia. Yeah.
Oh, Virginia. Okay. And Guy, you're in Northern
Berkeley.
California?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, nice. So pretty.
Yep.
Cool. Okay. I'm trying to think what other awesome questions I have for you. Let's see. What do your kids think of this book? Do they love it? Are they excited about it?
Yeah, I was really relieved to see that my kids were so into it. My kids are 10 and 13 now, and they're really into Wow in the World. They go through spurts, especially my 10-year-old, where she'll listen to a whole bunch and then she'll listen to another podcast and listen to a whole bunch. But both of them I don't think that they were just saying this because they wanted something, but they said it's fun, it's funny and interesting no matter how old you are. So I
agree with that because I am not a kid and I love this book.
Thanks,
I honestly was sitting reading it at 5 a.m. with my coffee. So
we can hang out together.
Yeah. So before we're gonna take some questions from some fans, I think.
Okay.
But before we do that, just real quick, how much of this is hard work and how much of this is luck, you guys?
Ooh, that's a
Oh,
good
someone's been listening to how I built this.
There's a crossover question. How I built this Wow in the World question. I think that you know, the reason why I wanted to work with Mindy when I first heard her on the radio before I met her was because I've been in radio my whole career, and I heard somebody who was an incredible live radio host and so funny and so warm and kind with kids, but just really sharp and also the kind of person that parents wanted to listen to. And when when you read this book or you listen to us on Wow in the World, so much of Mindy's personality and energy is comes through. And we have, this show and this book, and they're so fun and they're so funny, and it's the things that come out of Mindy's brain kind of just blow my mind. So I would say that the things that we do and the things that you read on the pages of this book are the product of incredible hard work. But I also think we're very lucky. We're lucky to have met each other and to get to work together. I get to work with my pal Mindy Thomas, and get to hang out with her when I get to see her and her family when I'm in a non-pandemic world. So it's a combination, a lot of hard work, but also a lot of luck.
Yeah,
I love it. Okay, so I think we're gonna get some questions from the.
Yes. I got a few questions. That was great conversation, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we have a question from Dina, which is, which books from your childhood have you enjoyed reading to your kids?
I would say I love, Where the Sidewalk Ends is always going to be a special book to me. Again, school presentation. I still have my copy from 4th grade with all of the paper clips from my class, and just getting to share that with them when they were, old enough to really appreciate Shel Silverstein. I said Where the Sidewalk Ends, right? Yeah, I think that would be one of my favorites to share with them. Guy?
Yeah. Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing. We're now in that phase with my 9-year-old, so it's been so fun to read that book because it's a classic. I mean, Judy Blume, amazing, just an amazing writer and person, and that was probably my favorite book when I was a kid, and now getting to read that with my kid, my 9-year-old is so fun.
Zoe, do you have one? I mean, aside from Wow?
It's funny. Besides this, which I didn't read when I was a kid, but we love reading it. It's funny because reading a lot of the books from when I was a kid, some of them have stuff I don't want to say to my kid. I don't know, they'll say not nice things. I don't know, it's weird. I really like a lot of the modern books better because a lot of the kids' books say I don't know, just
they don't hold up.
They don't hold up, a lot of them. So, I have so many favorite kids' books, but most of them weren't the kids' books that we read when we were, when I was a kid. But, when they were really little, Goodnight Moon is a great kids' book that I think really holds up. Maurice Sendak books really hold up. There are some that I'm excited to kind of read again and see if they hold up. My daughter is just getting into reading longer chapter books. So I think I'd love to read Ramona Quimby and those books again. Because
I was just thinking that.
I love those so much.
Well, this next question is from Sujin, and that is, which age group of kids is the easiest and which is the most difficult to teach about the human body?
So that I would say, I don't know that when we wrote this book, we were necessarily thinking that we were writing this book for kids. I think we were writing it in a way that made the human body interesting to us. And we wrote jokes that were funny to us and probably our inner kids. So I don't know that it was that we were thinking. I mean, I think this book is great for, elementary school kids, but even maybe a little beyond and maybe a little bit younger if they're reading with a grown-up. But I don't think we were thinking, how would kids like to learn about the human body? We were making it in a way that would make us interested in the human body, what amused us.
I actually have something funny to add, that I was reading this because my kids are 3 and 5, and I was reading this to them, and they're sitting on either side of me, and I read like, a paragraph, and my son, who's 3, said, Mama, who's saying that? Mindy or Guy Raz? And I was like, actually, I don't know. I don't know who wrote what.
That's a good question.
Very good.
He knows the different voices.
Our next question is from Paige, and they want to know, what book are you currently reading?
I am currently reading Prelude to Foundation by Isaac Asimov, which is totally, it's a series that this famous science fiction series, the Foundation series that he wrote. And I just started to get into it, and it's so good. It's about this mathematician, Harry Seldon, who can predict the future by using mathematical formulas. It sounds kind of boring or weird, but it's amazing. And I was turned on to it by somebody I interviewed for my show, How I Built This, actually Sal Khan, the founder of Khan Academy. And he talked about how that book changed his life when he was a kid, and I'd never read it. So I just started the series, and it's super fun.
Interesting.
And I'm reading a whole stack of books on my nightstand, whatever I'm in the mood for that night. But I just finished a really great grown-up book called The Vanishing Half from Britt Bennett, which just is one that's going to stick with me for a long time.
Interesting. Well, this final question, I think, is one that we could all find insight from, and it comes from Noah. What's your tip on keeping a positive attitude on a bad day?
Oh, this is a good question.
I have one.
I would say finding some. Oh yeah, let's hear yours.
You go ahead.
No, you go first. Okay, I'll go after you.
I just was thinking about this the other day, so it just popped in my mind. Just that sometimes I'll be having a bad day, and I'm like, well, is it a bad day or is it a bad moment? Because sometimes you'll have a couple of bad moments. You'll be like, this is a bad day. And then if you just think like, well, that was just a couple bad moments, and then you just think about the new moments that are coming, and that every moment is an opportunity to have a good moment.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I think I try to find something to laugh about in every bad moment. And sometimes you can't right away, but you know that eventually this horrible thing that's happening will probably become funny in time. So I think that if I don't take anything too seriously, or don't take myself too seriously, then I can find something to laugh about even in the bad moments.
I think when I have a bad moment, I try to find somebody that I know loves me and who I love, and I can kind of give them a hug, like one of my kids or my wife, or sometimes I'll just go take a run around the block or take a jog to clear my mind, and that always helps me. But the thing that helps me the most is just walking in nature. Love taking hikes, and that's what we do every single weekend. And that really helps me, especially on bad days.
Those are great answers, everyone. Well, before we wrap, I can't let us end things without having you share the Booger Recipe, which I mentioned at the top of this conversation. I mean, I feel like people of all ages can benefit from knowing this. So, Guy, Mindy, who wants to share what the Booger Recipe is?
Wait, let me find the Booger Recipe here. Oh, okay, yes, the Booger Recipe. Oh, you probably can't see it. You need some dust, some dead skin, some pollen, and some germs. And booger is also known as nasal mucus, which, let's be honest, is not fun to say. That's how you make boogers. We also give you a recipe on how to make, we had another recipe, saliva soup, how to make saliva soup. Yep. I think there's a poop recipe in here somewhere. So we teach you how to make a cavity. It's all in here. We got you covered.
You guys, Everyone needs to get the book. All right, that does it for us today. Thank you so much to Guy, Mindy, and Zooey for the conversation. And thank you all for joining today's panel. Don't forget to support your local booksellers. Signed book plates of Wow in the World are available through Once Upon a Time bookstore while supplies last. We hope to see you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.